today I'm going to be doing series of three videos. And the first one's going to consist of the full foundation with highlighter and contouring. And the second video would be eyeshadow routine. And the third video will be a wing liner. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do, as I mentioned in my last video, we're going to be using the Nivea Men Sensitive Balm. And this you can find at your local CVS or Walgreens store, maybe even Target. And this is used kind of like a primer. I use it as a primer because, of course, primers, if you go to Ulta or to the cosmetic stores, they tend to be pretty pricey. And this one is about $8 if I'm not mistaken. So it's pretty inexpensive. And it's really good. It has glycerin in it, which means that it makes your makeup stick. This will be in the description down below. So let's get started. So what you do is you get a little amount, maybe about this much, and you put it all over your face. So that way you can start applying your foundation. And you rub it around until you feel it kind of sticking. That's when you know that it's ready for you to apply whatever you want to apply. Now, what I like to do, especially if I'm having a long day or a long night, I'm going to start applying a different type of cream, which is the Hope and Jar oil-free SPF, and this one also makes your makeup stick. And I'm also going to put the description down below. Maybe about this much, and you place it on your T-zone. So me, I get a little or a lot oily on my T-zone, so that's where mainly I'm going to apply it. You just rub it in. Alrighty. Next, I'm also going to get my, usually this is more for people that have oily skin, and my skin is very oily, and this comes out in a very, I want to say like a powdery consistency. So if you're very oily, this is one of the best products to use, because once you rub it in, it feels like you're rubbing baby powder on your face, and it really makes you go matte the whole day. It's going to be just a little bit of product, and you're also going to put it just on your T-zones, which is just about this much. Rub it in, T-zone only. You can rub it in everywhere else, but like I said, this is where we mainly get oily. Alright, so just right there, you can already see that I'm matte compared to how I was before. So now we're ready for our foundation. And today what I'm going to be using is my Becca Ever Matte Shine Proof Foundation. And this is, like I mentioned before, this is one of my best products that I have used so far. It really does help keep you matte. And I like to mix this foundation with my L'Oreal Paris Infallible Pro Matte foundation as well. And I only like to use both of these and mix them together because I feel like this one, I grabbed it just a little too tan for me. And I actually got the color tan. And this one's just a little too light for me. So right now my skin is not too dark and it's not too light. So I'm going to be mixing these together. And the way that I mix them is I grab a little bit of the Becca foundation with a little bit of L'Oreal foundation, and I mix on top of my hand here. And I'm going to grab my little beauty blender and I'm going to mix them together. And all the products that I'm using, I'm going to be putting all the information down below. So make sure you click in there. And so now that you see that I have it on the back of my hand, I'm going to start mixing it together. And I'm going to start placing it on the places that I want. And I know on camera it might look a little too orange for my skin tone, which this is the reason why I mix it with the other foundation. But once I mix it out, it looks very nice on me. Alright, so now that I have my hair up, we're going to start dabbing our foundation. And you always want to dab. You don't want to drag, because when you drag, you're just pulling that foundation instead of helping you. All around the nose. I may seem a little rough with my skin, but that's just how I am. And what I mean about dragging is don't go like this, don't pull it, because you're going to leave streaks in your face. So So you want to continue dabbing, because when you dab, you make a flawless foundation, a flawless drawing in your face. Where if you're striking like this, if you're pulling like this, you're leaving nothing but streaks on your face. That's why I personally do not like brushes. I know a lot of people like brushes, but to me personally, I don't like them because I feel like they leave stripes in your face. So once you feel like you have completely finished your face, now you can continue to the next step. Which my next step are corrector or your concealer. So in this case, I'm using the Ulta Famous Fabulous Face in the color medium. And I actually picked up the Ulta because the Ulta brand, I'm sorry, because I really don't use concealers or correctors. I know I used to use the Jafra corrector, but it really wasn't doing the trick for me. And I feel like this one helps me a little bit more. So we're going to go ahead and start correcting our spots on our faces. So like you see on me, I have a little bit of blemishes maybe right here and over here, just a little bit on this side. So we're going to go ahead and correct those. Start dabbing those here. Here. And the main places is that you also want to highlight. So I know in the last video I explained a little bit about what contouring and highlighting is. What contouring means is that you want to hide those places. So let's say, for example, you want to make sure that your face looks a little bit slimmer and a little bit smaller. So you want to contour this part of the face right here. And if you have a big forehead, you want to contour your forehead. And if you have a double chin, like of course a lot of us feel like we have double chins here, so you want to make sure that you conceal the bottom of your neck as well. And where you want to highlight, you want to make it sure that it pops. So let's say like your cheeks, you want to make sure that they popped. You want to make sure that this middle line of your nose pops. If you have a smaller forehead, you want to make sure that it makes it pop as well with highlight. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So the bottom of my eye, we're going to make a triangle here to make sure that we highlight this area here. And do the same thing to the other side. The one thing I do have to say about this concealer though is that it doesn't last a lot. You have to keep on pumping and pumping, whereas I've seen other type of concealers that it goes a long way. So I don't know, I may have to try different concealers. And for this one, I'm going to be using the small beauty blender, and this one I recommend to anybody. If you don't want to be using the large beauty blender, which is this one right here, you can use the small one. And the same thing for this. You want to dab. You never want to swipe. You never want to pull, because the same thing can happen. It can drag your foundation and it can drag your concealer as well. And when you feel like the small beauty blender, like in this case, it actually, I have the fan on right now, so that's one of the defects that this concealer has as well, is that it dries fast, really fast. So in this case, because I was talking, it dried really fast, so it made the concealer just stick to my face the same way that I did it. So the way that I fixed it was I was just using the large beauty blender, and it actually fixed it for me. Also want to highlight the bridge of your nose. And we're going to highlight the sides right here. Alright, so once we're done with the concealer, now we're going to start with the fun part. On to the fun part. So now we're going to be using the Too Faced Cocoa Contoured Chisel to Perfection Contour and Highlight Kit. And this one is my favorite. Oh, not only does it have 4 colors, which is 2 contour colors and 2 highlight colors, but it also smells like cocoa. So Once you smell it, it smells really good. So anyways, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be grinding the dark cocoa and medium cocoa colors, and we're going to be contouring. So like I said before, we're going to be contouring this part of our face, and I'm going to be contouring the forehead and the double chin, because of course we want to make sure that we hide the double chin. So the brushes that I'm going to be using today is by Mark. That's just what it is. And I'm going to be using their powder brush, which this is not really considered a powder brush. I use it more for my contour brush, and this cute little brush right here. So I'm going to be grabbing just a little bit of powder, tap off the excess, and we're going to start contouring. And you always want to start right on top of your ear right here, down this way. Actually, you're going from here up this way. And you want to stipple first. And you want to not drag, but you want to take it back. Just like that. And if you want to grab some more, you go back some more. Just like that. And we're going to go on to the next cheek. Tap off the excess. Just like that. Alright, now we're going to go to the forehead. And again, we want to make sure that we make the forehead appear smaller. And in this case, I really don't have a big forehead. But in this case, for example, if you're wearing a high ponytail or maybe your hair back and you want to hide a little bit of the forehead, this is the best part. This is where you can actually contour the forehead to make it look so much smaller. And again, we are contouring to the back. Alrighty. And then now for our double chin, you want to start to the middle. Contouring up and down. And don't forget the back of your ears either. Alright, so now going into medium cocoa, which will be this color right here. Doing the same thing that we did with dark cocoa. Now we're going to start doing the nose, and this is where everybody asks me, how do you do it to contour your nose? How do you do it to make your nose smaller? Now, I know everybody, or most of us, are pretty self-conscious about our nose. Either they're too long, they're too thick, it's too small, it's too whatever the reason might be. This is the way that you can actually contour and you can make it look so much smaller. So in my case, I like to make it look so much slimmer and shorter as well to make it look like a perfect nose. And this is the way that you want to do it. So we're going to grab both colors of dark cocoa and medium cocoa, and we're going to start on the side of the nose, just like this. And you're going to bring that color down just a little bit, just like that. I don't know if you can see it there. And we're going to grab some more color and do the other side. Bring it down. Just like that. So instantly you can actually see that the nose looks a little bit thinner. Now if you want it just a little bit more exaggerated, we can do more. But in this case, I feel very comfortable with the way that I have it. So I'm not going to go too extreme with it. All right. So now that we're done with our contouring, we're going to go into our highlighting. And I'm going to be using the Kabuki brush that actually comes with the Too Faced contour kit. And I love this little brush because it's actually angled and it helps you get into tight little spaces. So today we're going to be using the light cocoa powder, which is this one right here. And I'm going to grab a little bit of powder just right here. And we're going to start with the under eye area. And the reason why we do the under eye area is to make us look so much more awake, so much more brighter, and the focus to be on our eyes, not to be anywhere else. So let's say if you want to take away from maybe people looking at your nose or people looking at your forehead because you're self-conscious about it, this is the best way for your eyes to pop. So we're going to bring this down in a triangle and up this way. Same thing with the other eye. And the chin. And this way. That way you can make the contour pop. Just like that. Right to my nose. Right here. Just like that. So this is what the contour, the highlighting looks right here. Now we're going to go with the blush. So what I do is I like to use this almost the same type of brush that I use with the contouring brush, just like this one. And I'm going to start doing my blush. And my blush, actually, it's not this fancy little blush, to be honest with you. It's an old blush kit that I have, which I don't even know who even made it. It's just this little blush kit right here. And I'm going to be using both of these colors. So I'm going to grab just a little bit of powder. And I'm going to start at the apples of my cheeks, just like this. And I like to smile and make sure that I highlight that. Just like this. Mark it very well, and then I start pulling backwards. And I like to keep them very nice and sweet. Again, the other side. And pull them back. Just like that. I feel like this one actually came out just a little bit more pinker. Peach. Alright, just like this. Now we're going to be using the actual highlighting color. So, of course, we use the light cocoa to highlight the face, but this is the actual pop of light that I like to use to where, let's say if you were at work or you're outside, you want to make sure that it shines off. It gives it a pop of glow. And in this case, I'm going to be using the pop of light color, which is this one right here. And I actually don't like to use the brush with this one. I actually like to use my fingers. So I'm going to be grabbing like a decent amount of powder here, and it comes out with this type of consistency here. And I'm going to be putting it right here. I'm going to distribute it all around on the side, so that way when you move your head, it actually looks like you're glowing. I don't know if the camera can actually pick it up. So let's go to the other side. To make sure that everything stays on and it stays matte, because like I said before, my skin is very oily, so I try to make sure that everything stays in place and everything stays matte. So what I like to use is I like to use a Too Faced Primed and Poreless Pressed Powder, which actually helps me stay matte the whole day. And we're going to be using one of our brushes from My Makeup Brushes. That's actually what it's called, My Makeup Brushes, and it comes in this little kit just like this, and it has 26 brushes, just like that. And I'm going to be using the foundation brush to make sure that I press it all over my face and it makes it stay matte. Now to set everything into place after the pressed powder, we're going to be using the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Spray and Set. And I know in the last video I used the Urban Decay makeup setting spray, and I absolutely love that one. But you know what? I wanted to use something less expensive because that bottle is actually $36. And I didn't really want to pay that much. And this one I think I want to say I paid $8 at Ulta, which looks just like this. And it does the same thing as the Urban Decay makeup spray. It's just in a little smaller bottle. But I mean, for $8, you pretty much almost get the same thing, and probably even more. So we're going to go ahead and shake it up and give us just a little bit of sprays, maybe about 3 sprays. Breathe in and spray. Alrighty, so this is the finished look for my foundation, my complete foundation, highlighter, and contour routine is. And it's very, I like to feel like it's actually very settled. It's not very dramatic. And this, I like to use it pretty much almost every day, maybe sometimes even more just for at night, let's say for a special occasion. So in this case, that's actually what I'm going for. I'm going out for a night out with my husband, so we're gonna have some good times. But this is what the full foundation looks like. Thank you so much for watching, and please stay tuned for the next video, which will be the full eyeshadow routine.